This NASCAR One and Done Pool Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's the Zebra. I'm the Rod Man. Yes, Derek, we are, of course, here. He's Cody Zeeb, Bob Rod Villagomez. And yeah, we're here today to talk some one and done. We had a lot of fun talking about that last year, and so we're going to bring it back. We'll run it back. Justin already in the chat saying, what's up, boys? We're so close. Really getting the itch and can't wait to join the one and done. Also, Cody, like we did last season, we ran a one and done pool. And I mean, look, I kind of bowed out a little early on in it, but I'm hoping to stick with it all throughout the season this year.
I don't know why, Rod. It's a lot of fun. And that's what makes it tough is it gets harder as the season goes on because you start running out of options depending on how you play your cards, that is. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we'll break down the game and then, start making our picks here in a little bit, which I'm pretty excited for. There's a lot of different ways, football is fantasy football is what it is, right? And trust me, there's a lot of different ways to play fantasy football because I do so, Rod, but there's a lot of different ways to play NASCAR fantasy. And this is one really fun twist on it that is always a good time.
Yep. And again, it gets the entire chat all beefed up and all ready to go. JDK is already talking about afternoon, fellas. He'll make a donation soon enough. Yeah, but you'll compete. JDK, I know you will. Lil C saying long off season almost over.
Ty Gibbs' army keeps getting stronger, Rod. Here they come.
You know what it is? They looked up last season and saw how much we were talking about it, or I was talking about a sophomore slump, and they want to come in force.
No more slumping for Mr. Gibbs this year.
TK, hey guys, guess Dale decided to spend some money. Talk about that too, and then Helio for Daytona. Hey,
that's actually part of the strategy, right? So we'll get into
it. Indeed. All right. So like we said, we're going to talk some one and done today. We're going to make picks. Probably will make it all the way to the All-Star race. I don't know. If we try not to talk entirely too long, we may make it to the All-Star race. If
that's
not,
the goal, because that's halfway.
Yeah, that's halfway. And then we'll break it off again tomorrow and do another episode and finish off the entirety of the season. But yeah, there's a lot to get through, some news to get through. But first, I want to tell you that you need to get the SGPN app for easy access to all of our picks and of our podcasts. They're all free. Everything is free on the SGPN app, and it's the best free that you're going to spend, right? It's the best money you'll spend because you're not spending any. So many shows to pick from, and the list just keeps getting bigger, and the talent pool just keeps getting deeper without even us in this. So, all right. So, Cody, there is a couple of news items to get before we start breaking down the one and done pool. So, what did we not get to yesterday?
Well, there was new news today, Rod, which you knew was coming, right? We knew that there was going to be an announcement out of the JRM camp. We said to be cautious because we didn't know what it might be, but not Martin Truex, to everybody's surprise, which, again, you shouldn't have been surprised about because he's a contract with Toyota. But they are going to field an entry for the Daytona 500, and it's going to be Justin Allgaier racing the number 40 car for Junior Motorsports. So it's going to be a Daytona 500 entry. They're partnered up with Chris Stapleton and his Traveler whiskey brand. Greg Ives is going to crew chief it. And then there is no current Cup plans for any additional races for JRM. Essentially, the way that this works, Rod, is Hendrick wanted to enter a 5th car into the Daytona 500, and they couldn't do that because you can't have more than 4 cars. And so they're going to have Dale Earnhardt Jr. slap his name on it. They're going to prep the car, enter it into this race, and their driver, Justin Allgaier, who I believe is also the Hendrick relief driver, is going to be the guy piloting it. So, yeah, that's the basic summary of things. But yeah, hey, Dale Jr., there's a lot of questions of when would he finally get into Cup, all this and that. And here we go. We finally have a JRM entry for the Cup Series.
I tried to hide my excitement initially early on because that one, I just backed my way into love of JRM. It wasn't as if I set out in life to be a big Junior Motorsports fan. In fact, a few years ago, I didn't even like Dale Jr. Like, I was not a big fan of Dale Jr. And yet here we are a few years later, and I'm the torchbearer for Justin Allgaier, for just a Junior Motorsports. So I'm excited. This is going to be great. And then the 40 car, I mean, hello, Sterling Marlin. Like, that's the memories I'm going to take.
As Lil C pointed out, maybe a little too soon, but 40 car with the beer liquor sponsored the Daytona 500 has some bad memories. But yes, it does make you think of Sterling Marlin for sure. And JDK saying scrap Elio, give me JA for Daytona. And then Derek saying last time he remembers the 40 being run. David Stremme, TBH, to be honest. Good to see that number running. Yeah, it was a car we saw for a long time with Chip Ganassi. The 40 obviously was Sterling Marlin, and then we saw a number of other people. David Stremme, kind of the last of that run through it. We haven't really seen the 40 car here recently. 40 has something to do with Chris Stapleton and that liquor. It's all tied in somehow there because, a lot of people were like, well, 88, 8, obviously those numbers are taken, but what about 81? Junior had that number back in the day. But 40 is the number that they have settled on. Also, something interesting, when it comes to gambling wise, something to keep an eye on is when we get Justin Allgaier to sit on the pole for the Daytona 500 odds, because Rod, Hendrick Motorsports, nobody is better than them at qualifying in the Daytona 500 traditionally year after year. They are going to prep this car. It's going to be a 5th Hendrick car. Greg Ives is the crew chief. He's a Hendrick guy. I mean, it's essentially a 5th. We have to treat this like a 5th Hendrick entry. I talked yesterday when we were kind of speculating about this. Dale Jr. doesn't want to put a bunch of money up for a race he doesn't even know if he's going to make, all this. I think that this was brought to him from Rick Hendrick. He said, hey, Chris Stapleton wants a car. We're going to enter a car. Can we put your name on it as the owner? Junior said, sure. Here's my $3. I'm now invested in this car and, slap my name on it. Here we go. There's the deal, right? So, but also the other 400 cars are guaranteed into the race. If they can put this car on the front row in qualifying, if you don't know, if you qualify first or second in traditional qualifying, you are locked into the Daytona 500, and that would obviously be something that they want to do. So, Allgaier, you might get a bigger line because it is a JRM entry, but let's treat it for betting purposes for the qualifying like it's a Hendrick entry. I'd be refreshing your screen and waiting for that to pop up soon because it's likely going to get bet down pretty quickly, mostly by me, but potentially too.
Hey man, this news is as smooth as Traveler's whiskey. I absolutely am a fan of this announcement. So, and thank you JRM for making this actually worth the wait and not just some crazy.
I did see, I think it was NBC, NASCAR and NBC maybe tweeted out when someone asked Justin Allgaier how the car's handling during the race, his response should be smooth as Tennessee whiskey. So
that's the only response, unless of course it's not, and then got to diagnose what's wrong. But if it's good, like Rye Cape saying, "What's good?" What's up, Rye? Then that's the only accurate response. But
yeah, and then just to sort of update the list again, if you don't know or don't remember, 36 cars are guaranteed in the charter cars. Those are all full-time drivers this year. No, rotator cars like we've had the last couple seasons. So those 36 guys are guaranteed in. 40 spots are open. Justin Allgaier is an open entry now. JJ Yaley is going to be entering in the 44. Anthony Alfredo in the 62. BJ McLeod in the 78. And then Elio Castroneves is entered in the 91. Again, if he doesn't qualify for the race, he'll be an additional 41st car. Go back and listen to our conversation yesterday about how they're adding that extra provisional. And then Bob Pockrass also expects the 15 to be entered by Rick Ware. It's probably Corey LaJoie's ride. The 66 has openly said they're looking for a driver. Jimmy Johnson in the 84 you expect. And then we do expect Martin Truex Jr. to be entered in a Tricon entry as well, which has not been officially announced at this point.
Yep, and the MBM Motorsports car is still looking for a driver as well. So, all right. Listen, I'm pretty excited about all of this. I definitely know that as we get closer to the Daytona 500, I'm itching for some just racing of all. But I will say, you speak of drivers, you speak of all these places that these drivers are. If you want a fantastic little cheat sheet, right? Ryan at iFantasy Race just tweeted out sort of like the just cheat sheet, the one sheet of where everybody's at. And if you go follow them on Twitter at iFantasy Race, you will find that list, which, listen, I know that not everybody lives and breathes this like we do, but for those of you who just really aren't up to date on where everybody went, on how everybody's shuffled around, this cheat sheet definitely lays it out for you and makes it so easy to know where everybody's at.
I had not seen that yet. That is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful sheet.
Am I right? I saw that this morning, and I was like, Ryan, you're a genius.
I'm sending that to the printer right now so I can keep track easier of all of our picks here, Rod.
And this is, well, see, there you go. And
I was looking for something before the show, and yeah, I've now found it.
Lo and behold, Ryan from iFantasy Race giving us everything we need. And by the way, if you're not, obviously we have no affiliation as far as monetary is concerned with them, but I will tell you that if you're looking for, we pull a lot of our stats from iFantasy Race anyways. Ryan has been one of those guys behind the scenes that's been driving the train for a lot of us, just doing the research and making sure that we have all the stats that we need. But whether he knows it or not, we rely on him so heavily over the course of the season.
Absolutely. They do a wonderful, wonderful job over there. So yeah, we'll be using their stuff all throughout the season.
Yes, we will. Okay, let's start let's start teaching Rod how to speak, which, by the way,
I thought you were going with let's start tech. Like, wait a minute, we have to go through inspection for this show?
Yes, we do. Well, listen, here's the thing. I'm getting ready for my interview with the Chicago Bears as the head coach. So I'm a little bit scatterbrained right now because I want to know what to say when I'm talking about how are you going to deal with your rookie quarterback, and I don't know what the answer to that is. So
probably won't be a rookie anymore, so that's good.
Well, he was, but whatever. All right, let's start talking about that. But first, I wanted to tell you about playoffs. Remember I was talking about my head coaching interview? Well, they're not in the playoffs, so I don't have to worry about that. We're talking playoffs. You bet we are. Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the number one place to bet touchdowns. You ready to place your first bet? Of course you are. Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook and make your pick. But again, it's not just football that you're actually going to be picking. Now you can pick all kinds of stuff, up to and including, yes, esports. You know my favorite current obsession, esports. Well, the Call of Duty League is having its week 3 of the qualifiers happening this weekend, and I am a big fan of betting on esports. So if you would like to bet on them, a couple of lines out right now. Cloud9 New York taking on LA Gorillas, mate. And they are at -1.5 for Cloud9 New York and +1.5 for LA Gorillas, mate. So you can have yourself some fun. It's a best of 3, so that's how you bet that one. But yeah, go find some more. You want Optic Texas or maybe some Vegas Falcons. How about Toronto Ultra taking on the Minnesota or the Vegas Falcons taking on the Vancouver Surge? It's all right there, folks. Have some fun with some esports. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text.
One of these days, Cody, one of these days, I will get the hang of that. I'm not used to people reading things for me.
Yeah, usually you do all the work yourself, so it makes it a little harder.
Well, it's a little irritating because I know that I can do it just as equally, if not, as enthusiastically as most people. So anytime AI tries to take my job, I get a little bit bent out of shape about it. But all right, I love that beautiful printout. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a little harder to see than I had hoped when I held it up, but it is nice. So shout out to Ryan over there at iFantasy Race.
Way to go, Ryan. We love you immensely. So, all right, well, listen, one and done. Cody, how does it work?
Yeah, let's set this up, Rod. First of all, if you're interested in getting in one and done pool, I do have the link posted. It's $13 to enter, so we're not going to go big crazy on it, but yeah, $13 to enter. I have the links posted. If you go over to X at NASCAR Gambling, it's also on my my post pinned post, I guess they call it these days, over on at Husker_Zeeb. And if you go to the Facebook page, NASCAR Gambling, I have it pinned to the top of that also, or hit me up if you can't find it, and it's all over there as well. So you can join and do this also. But one and done, I guess the easiest way to well, I was trying to pull up. Yeah, that's all right. Easiest way to explain it, Rod, is we've got 36 points paying races, right? So you're going to pick a driver for each race. You pick as the season goes on. So you don't have to pick them all today, which is what we're going to do. We're going to go through and sort of map it out, right? Similar to, if you listen to the Sports Gambling Podcast, they go through and map out the Survivor beginning of the season. Obviously, things change and circumstances change. You would change your picks as you go. But we like to go through and pick all the drivers now. We're going to leave that entry in there because it's fun to see how it does. It did pretty decent last year. Not the greatest entry. I beat it, so I was happy about that. Making adjustments throughout the season, right? But it's fun to do the exercise, go through and sort of, mark where you want to save guys for as you go along. So rules are pretty basic. You get each driver one time. So you can't just go pick Kyle Larson every week and set him in and okay, good. You get to use Kyle Larson one time. So you got to pick a race where he does well and doesn't F it up for you, right? And he gets all the points. And so 36 races, there is 36 chartered cars, so you could do that. Or you could use the use a Justin Allgaier in the Daytona 500 and use somebody who enters the Mexico race that's an open car, so on and so forth, kind of going through. But yeah, that's pretty much the rules, is you pick one per week. We have it set up to where you can pick all the way up until the green flag time. So you can see how qualifying goes. You can see how practice goes. You can see who looks good throughout a weekend. Then make your pick. If you want to plug them in early so you don't forget, that's probably a decent idea as well. So, I think that pretty much covers the basics of how it works.
How do the points get awarded, Cody? How do you win this thing?
How do you win this thing, Rod? So it is points are. I was trying to find the official rules, but I believe it's golf. So it's a golf score, I think. Gosh, where? I thought they had the rules more accessible than.
Okay, well, you look for the rules. Let me fly through this real quick.
Yes,
James Rowland talking about June Bug saving America. Hey, listen, man, I am a big fan of anything like that. Justin Burton wants to know, quick question, could Rick Ware Racing run the 15 full-time for LaJoy or for Waste? I think that might be the more accurate of it all. He meant to say Ware, but I mean, let's be honest with you on that one. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, it's a matter of just would you want? See, that's the thing. Like, would you want to? That's my question.
Well, you'd want to, I think, if you had the opportunity. But that comes down to it's more expensive to run an open car. How badly do they want to run an open car? Is there enough money to run the open car? I think that's probably most important thing, right? Like, and so yeah, that's what makes it tough. I do think that we will see appearances probably from LaJoy in that car, probably 6 of them at Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, and Atlanta, because that's where you want a guy like that in your car. And then you'll probably see the Joey Hand types or whatever at some road courses. I'm sure they'll run that car a decent amount, but I'd be pretty surprised if it's one driver that goes to that car specifically.
And then Justin making the good point that RWR released a chartered RFK, but that's open car.
Yeah, and that is so that they don't have a charter. That is an open car, which I think they're still going to run the car. It won't be a chartered car.
Lil C wants to know if you guys ever participated in a NASCAR fantasy league on the NASCAR app. Looking for more to join our league? Hit us up, Lil C. We did this last year too.
Yeah.
Where we ran.
And I think we'll be running our league back too. We do a league on that's free to enter, and then we give prizes from the show. So yeah, more details to come on that soon. But hit me up, shoot me a link at Husker_Zeeb. I'm always down for more fantasy leagues of any sport, as Rod may know.
Oh yeah, Cody is the king of joining six. It's like, what was there? Who was it? The Kaylee Cuoco from Big Bang Theory and all the other shows. She was talking about her husband being in 10 fantasy leagues, and everybody in our chat was like, 10.
10.
This dude's
Yeah,
like
10. Jeez, I wish I was only in 10 fantasy.
Is he
leagues
even playing fantasy if he's only in 10? Yeah, whatever. All right. Well then, Cody, how do we win this league?
Yeah. So, it is golf score. So you finish first, you get 1 point. That's the goal. You finish 40th, you get 40 points. Not a good day.
That's it.
So, I mean, and it's so you're obviously, it's going to be pretty hard to pick the winner each week, right? But you want to find a guy that's good at a specific track and get them there. I wouldn't waste your good picks. I wouldn't waste a Ryan Blaney at Daytona. Is Ryan Blaney really good at Daytona? Absolutely. Is he going to be a continual favorite there every time? Yes, but so many things can go wrong, and things can go wrong anywhere, right? But much more extreme for something to go wrong at Daytona. That's where you want to look at using a Cody Ware potentially, or a Justin Allgaier, or an Elio Castroneves, whatever the case may be, using one of those drivers and sort of saving a Ryan Blaney for a track where he's traditionally going to be better, where you get your one use out of him there.
Well, then let's start right there at Daytona as we talk about which one of those guys, if any, to take, because here's the thing that you'll continually run into, especially with these one and dones, right? You instantly want to say, I want William Byron because he won here last year, or I want Alex Bowman because he can actually run well at some super speedways. I want Christopher Bell. I want Kyle Larson. If you want Kyle Larson to super speedway, check into a rehab clinic because you're probably high. But no, here's the thing. You instantly say, I want these guys, right? But the whole point of this is to take a step back and to think to yourself, okay, but where else can I use William Byron that I'm assured that he is going to be a better finisher than at a super speedway where things can turn into chaos, and we could get guys like Michael McDowell winning. We can get guys like Austin Cindric winning. We can get guys that don't normally, Justin Haley winning a super speedway race, like all these guys that we would not normally think to take at a place like a short flat or a road course or whatever, right? That's where they're in place. So Cody, as we begin this quest to fill out our one and dones, how are we even approaching Daytona?
Yeah. So again, I would go to the bottom of the list, right? And pick either one of the full-time guys that you're not going to use a lot of elsewhere places, or you pick one of these other guys, right? And so if you look at Justin Allgaier in the Xfinity Series, he's been pretty good at Daytona. Here's his last few finishes: 7th, 8th, 1st, 3rd, 13th, 5th, 3rd. That's the Xfinity Series, obviously not the Cup Series, but he's been solid in the Xfinity Series. So I would say he's probably a pretty good play. Now, the caveat to that, he's not guaranteed to make the race. Now, in this format of our league, if you're in it, you could pick Allgaier, and then if he doesn't make the race, you could go pick somebody else. That's fine. So that's a possibility. Ty Dillon is a guy that immediately jumps to mind, but also you could use Ty Dillon at the summer race when, Justin Allgaier is likely not going to be entered into that race. You get Allgaier here. Elio Castroneves is a fun one to see. Now there is, he's never been in a stock car really other than IROC 20 years ago. He's not raced on super speedway. Yes, but how many times do we see Travis Pastrana come get a top 10 in his first start over here doing this type of thing? How do we see a guy like, SVG come in and win right away, that type of thing? JDK bringing up BJ. Is he running this year? I'm sure BJ McLeod will be entering likely, but again, does he make the race is a question, but he's another guy you absolutely could use. My suggestion, Rod, let's have fun and go with Elio Castroneves and roll the dice right out of the gate. Okay,
you do that. We'll make that the official pick of the show, but I think I'm gonna lean on the other direction of where you were going, and that was Justin Allgaier. I love his upside way more than I love Castroneves. And to be honest with you, I just feel like with Justin Allgaier, he's got 4 ready-made draft partners already.
True. And he's got all the experience. So, all right, you talked me into it. Let's do. So here's how we're going to do this for this entry. Justin Allgaier and Elio is our reserve driver. So if Justin doesn't make the race, then we'll switch the pick to Elio. We're not going to use either of those guys later on. Now, Rod, there's only 35 races left. We still have all 36 full-time drivers. Good way to start the league.
It's a great way to start it. So, all right, well then we move right into the next dilemma that we get into, and that's yet another super speedway race in Atlanta. So what are we doing in Atlanta? Because we know Daniel Suarez won this race and probably broke a lot of people's one and dones because not a lot of people were on him. But I mean, this is it. This is what happens. We get back-to-back weeks in super speedways, and so we can get a little nutty to begin the year. I mean, for me, when you look and think about Atlanta, you think about guys like maybe an Austin Cindric, and this is the cover boy of this because Austin Cindric finished 4th place here last year. It's a super speedway, right?
So a guy like Austin Cindric, when you think about it, like, again, this is a super speedway. Austin Cindric's a guy we could use at Gateway, where he just won last, where he's got multiple top 10 finishes in a row. He's been really solid at that one. Like, that's just the one that jumps right to mind, right? And sure, you could use a Blaney there. You could use Logano one there. You could use all these other people, but he's a guy that you can count on to be good there. You don't have to burn one of your big dogs. I would say Cindric, even though farther down the board, isn't far enough down the board for me to want to burn a super speedway start with him.
All right. I like that logic. You kind of talked me off of them. All right. Well, then there's guys. What are you in the mood for? Because I know there's guys that finished in the top 5 last year that I'm not touching. Bubba Wallace, not touching him here.
Yeah,
that was kind of an outlier.
I mean, that's another one you could save for somewhere better.
Yep. Ricky Stenhouse, Ross Chastain, Michael McDowell. Like, those are names that finished in the top 10 of last year's race. But like,
yeah, so Stenhouse is an interesting one because there's probably not a lot of spots you're going to use him outside of super speedways. So that would be a guy that I would highlight. He's also can be sort of all over the place, which is a deal. So I would say, if a Corey LaJoie enters this race in the extra Rick Ware car or something like that, that's going to be somewhere you're immediately going to want to go to. I know you guys love it when I bring him up, but he's been really good at the super speedways. So I just want to highlight a driver like that. Boy, I don't know, Rod. Do we want to?
Let me tell you real quick. Okay. I'll read you off the last 3 of Ricky Stenhouse's finishes here in Atlanta, going back to when they reconfigured it. 10th place in the fall of 2023, 6th in the spring of 2022, and 14th in the fall of 2023. So we're looking at least a top 15 with Ricky Stenhouse. So
you talked me into it. Give us Stenhouse for this one, because I think that's not a car, like, especially you compare that to a Cindric. Cindric is at least in a reliable car that's going to have somewhere to be good. So yeah, I think that a Stenhouse is a good one to use here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as if we're going to be picking him, like you said, down the line. Super speedways are pretty much the only spot where I think he's going to be in play. So if there's a super speedway that he's been good at least consistently top 15, this is it. So maybe everybody else that everybody picks will get in a crash, and we'll all benefit from having this. So.
Yeah, and Lil C said try to join the one and done getting an oops message. I will troubleshoot that as soon as the show is done. So stay tuned on the socials, and I'll try and get that fixed.
Yeah, because sometimes it is very difficult to to make moving parts happen. So, all right, well, we've got 2 races down. We'll continue on down the road, but first I want to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports. Plus, Underdog is making it easier to win with profit boosts and gimmies. Pick'ems, you got NFL, you got college football, you've got college basketball, you have got MMA, you've got NASCAR, you've got Formula One, and you've got so much more. Plus, you can now use your specials and boosts on all flex entries. Whew. All right. This is going to be a tough one for me because I am so bitter about the Kansas City Chiefs going on right now, beating my Niners last year. But Underdog has Patrick Mahomes with 1.5 passing touchdowns. I'm going to take the higher on this one against Houston. I think this is going to turn into a low-key shootout. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to need to throw a couple of touchdowns in order to get there. So give me Patrick Mahomes higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's just that's the way it's going to have to be. You can sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code RACESGPN. What do you think? You think the Houston Texans have something for the Kansas City Chiefs, or
no?
All right.
Sorry to just burst the bubble. I would love if they do. I hate the Chiefs. I hope that they lose. But it's gonna be tough, Rod.
I do, but I still think that there's going to be at least a couple touchdowns thrown by Patrick Mahomes because it is playoff Mahomes, and that's just the way things roll.
Yes.
I've watched
back to Lil C real quick. I did just post a link on my X at Husker_Zeeb in the comments underneath of the tweet. So try that. And then I also just posted it here in the chat. If you could click on that, hopefully that link will work a little better. If not, I'll figure it out after the show.
All right, let's move on to the next race of the season. Remember, this is 2025, so we are going with the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix COTA. We get 2 super speedways and a road course race to open the season. How much fun is
really
that?
True? I don't think that's true, Rod.
That's the way I'm looking right now, 2025.
Wow, it is. What?
Yeah.
We're on a COTA that early?
We're on Dakota that early. I know it does not feel right, does it?
I completely forgot that was how this was working. So, All right, COTA, let's do it.
COTA, let's do it. Road course, here we go. I mean, is this where we start to burn our favorite road course drivers, a la AJ Allmendinger, a la SVG, a la Kyle Larson, right? Christopher
Rod,
Bell.
What if I told you that we could get a guy that's finished in the top 4 3 years in a row and inside of the top 8 in all 4 years of this race? How would you feel about a guy like that?
Do you want to use Alex Bowman already?
I sort of feel like I want to use Alex Bowman is just really fucking good at COTA, and I don't know why that is, but so Alex Bowman is a guy you could keep in your back pocket all season long and literally almost use him any given week. He's going to get you a top 10 most of the time, as we know from betting on him a lot to finish in the top 10. He's a good value every week for that. But this is a track where specifically 4th place last year, 3rd place in 23, 2nd place in 22, 8th place in 21 in the 4 times that we've been here. He's been good. I almost feel so. There's a lot of ways you could go, right? Obviously, you've got your SVGs in here, which we're going to use him at some point, obviously, on one of these road courses, Mexico City being the most likely, I think, or Chicago, depending. Reddick's been good here, but you could use some other places. Chastain's been really good here. That's a guy you could use. We've got a Suarez for one of the road courses potentially. I think we just go with Bowman here and keep it simple because he's been really, really good at this track.
See, and this is where when you're not necessarily familiar or comfortable with the one and dones, you keep thinking, oh, I got to pick the winner. I got to pick the winner. And really what you want to do is you just want to find consistency. You want to find who you think is going to be at the front of the pack. If they win, all the better. But you would much rather take a chance on somebody like a Bowman who's been 2nd, 3rd, and 4th over the last 3 years rather than an SVG who, yes, he could win this race, or he could very well finish in 25th place because he's been overly aggressive and puts himself out there. Well, Alex Bowman's not going to do that. And
he's not like part of this is you want to be different from everybody else. So you're going to come into this race and people are going to look at it and they'll see saying, hope AJ makes a start or two. Guess what? He's going to make all the starts because he's full time this season, back in the 16 car for the Cup Series. So you will be able to use him, but they're going to be looking, they're going to be like, I got SVG. I got AJ Allmendinger. I got Ross Chastain. I got Tyler Reddick. I got William Byron. I got Kyle Larson. Those guys are burning a hole in their pocket. We don't need to go crazy yet. Let's save those guys for down the road. Bowman's really good here. Been consistent. You play Bowman and you save those guys as it continues.
Yes, you do. So, that's the thing, too. It's just a matter of finding those guys that are going to be consistent for you all the way through. And I like that. it's funny because you don't think about that when you think of Alex Bowman. You don't think of him as somebody who's finished inside of the top 5 at all of these COTA races, but there he is at the end. So I love this pick. This is probably my favorite pick out of all of them so far as we've gone through. So, all right, let's move on to the Phoenix Raceway for the Shriners Children's 500 over there in Phoenix. All right. I mean, last year you saw guys like Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, Ty Gibbs, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Michael McDowell, Chase Briscoe, even Tyler Reddick, all finish inside of the top 10. So the question is, Cody.
Yeah, I mean, how about a guy who's finished top 5 in 7 races in a row?
You would like Ty Gibbs?
Oh, come on, Rod.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Ryan Blaney.
Yep.
Ryan Blaney's been really, really good at this track. We didn't burn him at Daytona again as a favorite because you could save him for a track where 7 top 5 finishes in a row, 9 top 10 finishes in a row. He had a 37th place back in 2020, but if you toss that out, he's got 11 top 10s in a row, 10 of those being top 6 finishes. Ryan Blaney is really, really, really good at this track. We obviously saw him here in the fall in the championship race, finish in 2nd place, 5th here in the spring, 2nd, 4th. I just don't. And, Blaney's another guy that you could use anywhere, but he's really, really good at Phoenix. They seem to have that dialed in. Clearly, Penske's won 3 championships in a row using that Phoenix race. Sure, we could save him for the championship race later on, yes, but we know that he's been good lately at Phoenix. They should start the season still good at where they were at the end of last season. Maybe things change by the end of the year and, he's not as good or, it's not an even year, so we don't have to save Joey Logano for the championship race. But I'm good with just go ahead and use Blaney this week unless there's somebody else that's really just catching your eye, Rod.
Dude, when there's a guy whose floor is 5th place and his ceiling is 2nd, like I'm all over that. This is like Kevin Harvick. Like Kevin Harvick was your auto play at Phoenix for years, right? He had 19 top 10 finishes in a row, some ridiculous number at Phoenix, just really, really good. And Blaney's sort of taken that mantle lately at this track. Yep. So give me Blaney. I like it. That's a good one as well. When you see, and that's the other thing too. This is a great opportunity for you to kind of take a look at where these guys are finishing on a track to track basis, because then, you uncover patterns like this where you're like, oh my God, Ryan Blaney really has finished 2nd in 4 of these races over the last 5 or 6 years. So, it's an incredible way to kind of get a bigger picture on these guys and their individual track abilities. So, all right, let's move on to Las Vegas for the Pennzoil 400. Vegas, not the 3rd race in the season as we've been accustomed to, but Kyle Larson, the defending champion on this track from the spring race. So, we're going to save Kyle Larson obviously for a lot deeper in, but Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, we already burned Blaney, Gibbs, Gragson.
Larson really at any given point. So when we get somewhere where we can't find somebody that we haven't already used, I think that's when you do. But so I'm thinking here, Rod, what about a guy like William Byron? Byron, we know traditionally over the last couple of years, starts the season off really hot. That's when he starts, racking up all of his wins. He was the spring winner here 2 years ago, 10th place last year. You'd like a little bit of a better finish, but he was 4th here in the fall, so he's been really good at this track. He's got 4 top 10 finishes in a row, 5 out of the last 6 in the top 10. Been solid at this track. He's definitely one to consider. Otherwise, Chastain actually has the best average finish since 22 here. He seems like a guy we could use a lot of places as well. Do you just use Larson early? So what I noticed last year, and it worked out for everybody, but the 3rd race of the year was the first normal quote unquote cookie cutter track was this one, and everybody played Larson. I did not play Larson, and he won the race. So it worked out for everybody. But there are points where if you think that everybody is going to play Larson, we know that Larson can be both sides of the coin, right? Greatest driver in the world. Yes, but sometimes he outdrives himself, right? And so everybody's going to be playing him. So do you play defense and you play him, or do you hold on and later on you have Larson on a week when he comes out, looks fast in qualifying, and nobody else has played him? That's which side of the coin do you want to play? It bit me last year. I will admit that happening. I specifically remember that. But this year, what if something goes wrong for Larson and you have him later when everybody's burned him up? Could go either way.
Yeah,
although he's been good here.
Yeah, I mean,
he's 2 of the last 3, but that October 22, 35th, like that's where you do get both sides of the coin with him.
Okay, but allow me to read you Ross Chastain's finishes in the span of 2022 to the present. 3rd place in 2022 in the first race, and then the second race, the 2nd place finish. 12th, okay, that's a bad one in 2023, but a 5th place finish, and then a 4th place, and then a 7th place to round it out. So we're talking 4 top 5 finishes in 6 races, and 5 top 10 finishes in 6 races as well. So would that be, I mean, look, he led 83 laps in one race, 68 in the other. I mean, is this a good place for Chastain? Yeah,
he's been really good here. Byron's a guy that we can use at any number of places. Chastain, we could use him a lot of places, but it's a little more limited on his upside. He's been the best out of everyone the last couple of times here as far as average finish goes. I like it. Let's use Ross Chastain.
Okay, let's use Ross Chastain. Love it, love it, love it. All right, let's move on to Miami Homestead. No, not for the championship, but for the Straight Talk Wireless 400. Wouldn't that be
good thing we didn't use Kyle Larson last week, Rod?
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we're gonna do that, then we might as well hit it. So, are we doing it now?
I mean, he has to be like one of the top guys that comes into consideration. Now, that being said, 13th here in the fall, 34th in 23, but then you had 1st, 4th before that, but then a 40th. Like that's the 2 sides of the coin with Kyle Larson, right? So you think of this track, you think of a Larson, you think of a Bell, you think of a Reddick, dirt track guys. I think there's a bit of a theme there for sure. Another track where you could use William Byron. Carson Osavar finished 9th here last year. I don't know that we want to use him already off of one sample size, but it was a good run.
I'll tell you though, something worth noting though. Something worth noting is that this is the first time in a couple of years that we've actually been here in the spring, right? Obviously, this has been a fall race, so they're moving it to the spring. So now, does that change anything for you? I don't think it really does, but at the same time, it's earlier in the season than we're used to. So, I mean, look, we have
that could build the stronger case for Byron, who I believe did he win this race last time it was in the spring? Yes, February of 21. He did win, leading 102 laps. He starts the season traditionally better. He was 6th and 4th in the last 2 races, even in the fall. A 12th, that win. He had a 9th before that. He's a guy you could consider. I mean, Reddick is a guy. So Christopher Bell, I know he's at the top of the board as far as average finish lately, but I think we have to save Christopher Bell for New Hampshire because he just owns that place. And I would personally like to save Christopher Bell for that track specifically.
Can I talk you into Ryan Preece?
Okay.
Ryan Preece, the last 2 starts on this track, 13th and a 10th. He is going to be now. This is where I put your love of RFK to the test, my friend.
See, this is where I need to do the math on how many short flat tracks do we have. And, because I want to use short flats for, I really want to use a Martinsville race for Ryan Preece. But we've also got, you could definitely make me consider Ryan Preece this early in the season, Rod. Do we want to allow him time to get his feet wet at RFK first? Do we think he hits it right away?
But see, this is the balance, because I feel like I want to save the drivers that we know are going to do well, because everybody's going to be trying to burn through the drivers that they know are going to do well right in the beginning, right? They're going to try to get the Kyle Larsons and they're going to try to get the William Byrons in there because they're not thinking ahead. They're thinking of that week. We're thinking ahead. We want to have these drivers ready to go in our chamber when it's time to fire them, and not just try to, get all we can at the beginning of it and hope to God that people will perform at the end.
Ryan Preece, lock him in.
Boom. God, I love that. That's you know what it was, Cody? I was preying on your love of RFK. That was That's what I was doing.
You know my weaknesses, Rod. Now we go to Martinsville. We don't have Ryan Preece. God damn it.
Well, I'm pretty sure we can find somebody else for Martinsville. That's not Ryan Preece. Short flag. Can we get Martin Truex back for this one?
That'd be nice, right?
He laughs. Byron won this one last year in the spring.
What about, is this our Joey Logano spot, Rod? He's actually been really good here. So Chase Briscoe is a guy that jumps to mind. I want to give him time to get his feet wet at Gibbs and use him somewhere else, I think. Joey Logano, though, has been good here. Do we...
Okay, so let's contemplate this as we look at the numbers, right? Joey Logano, whew, man, 20 top 10 finishes in 32 starts, 11 top fives and a win. His last, let's go back to the 19th place in 2019, but he won before that in 2018. But let's say 8th place in 2019 in the fall, 4th place in 2020, 3rd place in 2020, 6th in 2021, 10th, 2nd, 6th, 2nd, 5th, 6th, 10th. This is our even year Joey Logano entry, I think.
Yeah, because Joey, as we talk about so much, hardest guy in the garage to predict. What do you do with him? You don't know. Is he going to have that championship hangover? Maybe, but in April of 23, which is coming off of his last championship, he finished in 2nd place in this. Led 25 laps, had a good day. You just let off all the finishes. I mean, he's got, 11 top 10s in a row and 13 of the last 14. So, yeah, I think this is a safe spot to use Joey. Joey being so hard to predict. Really, if you're new to the show, welcome in, by the way. In my opinion, there's nobody harder to predict when they're going to be good, when they're not going to be good than Joey Logano. I think this is a safe spot to have Joey. Is he going to win? Probably not, right? But he's capable, obviously, of doing so anywhere. But I think this is where we can get a good result from him. And, I like Joey as the play here.
Well, I mean, this is the 3rd best track for him as far as top fives are concerned, Richmond and Fort Worth, the other two. He definitely has more top 10 finishes at Martinsville than he does in any other track. So if we're talking statistically speaking, this is the track that he's the most solid on. And who knows, people may not pay attention to that and may pick other guys like William Byron that they know won this track last time.
6 races in, Rod, and we've already used 2 of our 3 Penske guys.
Damn. Well, I mean, look, you have to do what you got to do to protect yourself.
Balls.
All right, let's move on to Darlington. Is there a Penske guy we can use up for Darlington? Or
is this the week we finally use Dennis?
Is it do we use Dennis at this one, or do we hang on to him?
So Denny is another guy we could use anytime, right? He's been really good here. If you look, so again, big difference in this race on the Southern 500. That extra 100 miles makes a big difference. But if you look back, he was 7th here in the 500 in the fall, but 4th here in the spring, 12th here the previous spring. Boy, maybe he is better here in the Southern 500. He's got a 2nd, a 1st, 5th here in 21, but 21st here in 22. Little C advocating to save Denny for Bristol, which definitely could be a deal.
So okay. So let me toss somebody out that you may not even think about and you may not want to use, or you may be saving him for another turn. I don't know, but we got Josh Berry and Wood Brothers Equipment. He did finish 3rd here in the SHR number 4 earlier in the spring. He did have a 3rd place finish there. And we're not, I mean, SHR was on its last leg at that point.
You know, you're going to have to force me to use Josh Berry at some point, Rod. Is there another shorter track, though? Like, I feel like a Richmond type of place, or even he could be a Martinsville type of pick. I don't know. What's Eric Jones look like here in the spring? Is he, because I know he's good in the 500 specifically.
No, he finished 19th,
25th. Yeah, no, we're out. Okay, not doing that.
I mean, if you want to use one of the big hitters, we can. However, I'm saying if we're going to keep that narrative going where we're going to pick guys who are off the grid, I mean, you don't want to get too cute in this situation, but by the same token, like, I mean, who can we, okay, bear with me here. Justin Haley in the spring races here, Rod, 9th
8th, and 3rd in the last 3 in Rick Ware and Kaulig cars. Now, not good in the fall, 27th, 24th, 19th, but in the spring race, the shorter race, 9th, 8th, and 3rd.
Well, he did. Okay, so yeah, he did finish in the top 10. So, well, I mean, if he did
what is he driving this year? Why do I not know where? Oh, he's in the Spire car too.
He's in the Spire car.
He's going to be. What about Justin Haley? Because again, under the radar, you got to get different from other people. You can't just take the chalk every week and sure you can pull up driver averages. Just take the top guy. That's only going to work for so long because you're going to start using them all. But
all right, you talk me into Justin.
I like the springtime pattern here.
Well, and I'm okay with that because as I look through Josh Berry too, there's a couple other spots that we can probably kind of put him in and we'll be okay. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of good finishes for him last year as well in places that we can use him down the road. So, fine. Give me Justin Haley. I'll take that one for this.
Yeah, we'll see tossing out Gragson too. Gragson's not been, he was 14th here in last spring, but 32nd, 26th in his other 2 starts here. He's a guy we'll use at some point, but not here yet, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, especially because front row, we know they're good.
Row's gonna be good, Rod.
They will. We love you, front row. All right, so that was Darlington. Let's move on to Bristol. Lil C was saving Denny for Bristol. Bristol Spring was won by Denny Hamlin last year. He does have.
Well, I've got a question for you though, Rod. For this, do you want to have Ty Gibbs when he gets his first career win, or do you not?
Oh, you're up on this one. Ty Gibbs finishing not last. He finished 9th here last year. That's where I was going with that one. He didn't finish.
Jeez, Rod's already shitting on Ty Gibbs again. Here we go.
What is it? The junior slump? Where are we at already? No, listen. Okay, he does have 1 top 5 finish and 2 top 10 finishes.
I'm not advocating to play him this week, but
you're not dumping.
I am calling right now my shot that this is Ty Gibbs' first career win.
All right. But see, you have familiar names at the top like Hamlin. Truex did this last year in the top 10. Keselowski, Bowman, Larson, John Hunter finished in the top 6 in this race last year. Not going to really go after him very hard, although I'm kind of pulling up his numbers now just to see if that was a fluke or if that's something that happens a lot for John Hunter. John Hunter
feels like a speedway play probably.
That was his only top 10 finish, so I'm not high on that one.
So I mean, Denny's pretty attractive at this one. He's been good here. He's won 2 of the last 3. 4th here in the fall, 5 top 10s in a row. 3 wins in the last 9.
Take the lump.
Chalky probably. And, where are we at with Denny this year? Does he need time with the new crew chief? Chase Elliott's sort of hanging out there for me as like a, hey, maybe, kind of, potentially. Cole Custer finished 8th here in his 1 start recently.
Do you trust that Haas factory equipment?
No, I don't trust anything with that car. Brett, can I interest you in Brad Keselowski?
I mean, I was waiting for you to bring him up.
So 26th in the fall, not good, but 3rd last spring. Now, do keep in mind last spring was the tire fiasco. I don't think we're going to see that type of race again, but 8th, 13th, 6th, 34th, but then back in the 2 car, 4th, 1st, 3rd, some good runs. We could probably save him for somewhere better down the road.
Yeah, there's much better spots for Brad Keselowski.
I think Denny, Chase.
We could use
who else
too, though.
Well, yeah, we could use him anywhere. Who else though? Is jumping out to you?
Honestly, nobody. I mean, that's
really this is a hard one to pick like a sleeper type of pick. That's why I wonder if we just go with the chalk with Denny and let it play out here.
I think we're gonna have to because there's kind of we're backed into a corner because again, like we said with these other races, right? You can pick somebody who you think has a nice solid top 10 average, but Bristol is almost as inconsistent as a super speedway in that you just kind of never know which wrecks are going to happen.
There are certain guys, and it does tends to be a veteran track. Like it is the last great Coliseum, right? These are the guys who've done it a million times. And that's why you saw Denny be able to win that tire race last spring because I think we just don't overthink it here. This is like, you're trying to build a FFPC lineup for the playoffs right now, right? And you want to have some different picks, which we do, But you also got to play some of the chalky stuff too, and I think this is a good spot for Denny. So
yep,
we play Denny here.
Reading the winners off from the last few years is Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Chris Buescher, Kyle Larson. You see some repeats in that one. So, all right. Next up, Talladega. Dega, baby, is super speedway. I know who you want, Cody.
Eric Jones?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Is that who you want? Because I was thinking you're probably going to say Bubba Wallace in this one.
Yeah, so I think we save Bubba. We're going to find a spot where we can use Bubba later, probably at an intermediate track when we're running low on options. So I think we save Bubba. So the Eric Jones question is a question of, is there somewhere else we're going to be able to play Eric Jones? Darlington would be the track that comes to mind for the Southern 500, but just looking through his results as we did a second ago, he's not been as good lately as he once was at that track. Outside of that, where else would we potentially use Eric Jones? I mean, looking at his best average results, right? Like Pocono, Michigan, Dover. We're probably going to have better guys for that. New Hampshire, we're going to pick Bell. Then it's, but Talladega's in there as his fourth best track. Atlanta's in the top 6. He's been a good super speedway guy. He's been specifically better at Talladega than Daytona, right? I think we do want to look at him there. But if you look back at what he's done, 5th place here in the fall, now 35th and 26th. That's always the risk at super speedway. You always have that risk built in. But before that, 6, 6, 6, 9, 27, 2, 5. There's some really, really good finishes in here for Eric Jones. I think we play Eric Jones here this week at Talladega.
Fine, we'll do Eric Jones.
Or did you have? I didn't give you an option to pull somebody up, but
I didn't necessarily have anybody else because to me, you're right. This is probably the only spot where we'll have an opportunity to use Eric Jones and feel good about it, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I want Legacy to be good, Rod.
Well, so do I.
But I can't trust Legacy to be good. Like, I would want to play him at Darlington, but it's not been there the last couple of times. And when we get to Darlington, am I going to bet on him because there's a long shot? Yeah, we're going to work him into the betting show, right? But as far as trying to get points here and stuff, I think we're going to play somebody else when we get back to Darlington. So give me Jones at Dega here.
All right, I'll take it with you. And like you said, I'm with you on this. I certainly want it to be good. I'm more than willing to ride with this one. So, all right, let's move on.
Zane might have a spot somewhere else to play. Also, I'm curious what Lil C with the Ty Gibbs love earlier, saving Ty for one specific race. Share with the class, my friend.
Yeah. Let's
want to know what race this is.
All right, let's move on to the Texas Motor Speedway for the let's see, what is this one? The Auto Trader Echo Park Automotive 400. So
I got a sleeper for you here, Rod.
All right, hit it. What do you got?
Carson Hocevar.
You want Carson?
He was so fucking good here in the Truck Series.
Yep.
And he's got 2 starts here, 16th in Legacy, filling in for Gragson, 10th place last year for Spire. He's good second season with Spire. We really saw him come on late in the season. Honestly, he's the first driver that comes to mind when we think of Texas. Sounds weird, but if you don't remember how he was in the Truck Series there, very good. I think that's my vote, is pull the trigger on Hocevar I haven't even looked at anybody else. He's the first guy that came to mind. This is where I want to use him.
All right, Hocevar it is. I mean, you just said it. He's definitely in a good situation this year, right? That 77 Spire car, he's gonna drive the wheels off of that again. So I think another year of being mature is going to do well for him. So all right, yeah, I'll take that with you. All right, Carson Hocevar for Texas. Let's move on to the last one for today, and that is the Kansas Speedway, the Advent Health 400. Kansas was Kyle Larson's race last year in the spring.
Closest finish in NASCAR history, Rod.
Yes, it was. Right, with Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex, Jenny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, and Noah Gragson. It's funny because, and then Michael McDowell was the top 10 as well. I think it's Kyle Busch that really screams at me because I feel like I remember him being fantastic at Kansas, and he has been fantastic at Kansas.
He almost won there in the fall. This was the race where he was leading, came up on Briscoe, got the air taken out underneath of him and spun out. Denny Hamlin, Rod, really could potentially use him here. This is also so like this is a place where in the past I've wanted to use Bubba Wallace, but 2311, like they owned Kansas for a minute and they've sort of 17th both races last year, 32nd in the fall of 23. Now that was a little bit of a outlier because he was good, but he blew a tire. But Denny, the owner of 2311, has consistently been really good at Kansas. I don't know. What you got? Any thoughts, Rod?
So if you look at Denny, I mean, you talk about consistently good. 8th place in the last race that he was in here in the fall, 5th, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 12th, 15th, win, 16th, 14th, 5th, 5th. Yeah.
I mean,
I guess
you got 15 races of 16th place being his worst finish in the last 15 races.
I think you got to take
pretty big sample size. Like led a lap in the fall, but 71, 63, 34 laps led all the races before that. He's been strong here. I think this is another one where I don't think we need to overthink it too much and just pull the trigger on. Because we didn't use Denny right now. Oh, wait, we did use Denny at Bristol. Fuck.
I was going to say, I thought we used him a few races ago.
Just kidding. Denny would be a great pick if we still had him, but we already used him, Rod.
I mean, I was looking at Kyle Busch, but the problem is that the last few races for Kyle Busch have been a little inconsistent. 19th, like you said, that was the one where he could have won. 8th, 7th, 35th, 26th, 3rd, 28th, 1st, 5th, 11th,
but,
3rd.
Last 3 races here, you've got 19th asterisk, almost won. 8th and 7th. That's pretty, okay, then his very first race here with RCR wasn't good. He got in a wreck, but they were learning the ropes still at RCR. The one before that was, remember, in the fall of 22 when they were just giving him the shittiest Toyotas they could possibly find as he finished out his time at Joe Gibbs. So you can't really count that. So
gave him rights for that.
Yeah, but then a 3rd place before that. A 28 sprinkled in there, but 1st, 5th, 11th, 3rd, he's been good. There's plenty of places we could use Kyle.
Well, see, and this is what I'm saying. As we start to get into this, Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr.
Do we just use? Is this where we burn our Kyle Larson? So what's Kyle Larson?
I think we already burned Kyle Larson. Go look back through yourself.
We've saved him. We haven't used him yet. We had considered it earlier. We talked about him at Vegas and Homestead, but we ended up going with Chastain and Priest at those two. So we still have Kyle Larson when most people don't have him. Do we just play him now? Or I'm starting to get concerned on we're going to miss the William Byron window because he's only good early
races. Yeah. Well, I almost feel like that with Kyle Larson too, because we kind of talked about it last time. It's, you get hot early and then you kind of stay that way. He spins. He goes.
I think this is just where we play Larson because everybody's burned him at this point. If they didn't play him at Vegas, if they didn't play him at Phoenix, first of all, they played him at Vegas. If they didn't play him at Vegas, they played him at Homestead. They could have played him at Martinsville or Darlington or Bristol, all by now. They could have played him at Texas last week where we played Hocevar. I think Lil C is saying this is where, Ty Gibbs. I might be at this race, Rod. I would love to be in person for Gibbs' first win. Can you imagine? That'd be fucking great.
That'd be fantastic.
I think we use Kyle Larson here in Kansas.
All right, let's see. I'm pulling it up right now. 20 career races, 2 wins, 8 top 5s, 11 top 10s. His last finish is a win in 2021, 2nd, 8th, 2nd, 4th, 1st, and then that 26th place finish. But he's led laps in several of those races. So fine, give me Kyle Larson. I'm with you. We'll burn him here, and we'll just pray that it doesn't come to bite us in the ass later.
Well, and that's always the hope. Okay, Lil C is calling Bell to win this one, but we're picking Bell in New Hampshire. I already got that earmarked. So good pick, but we're going to burn him on later on.
All right. Do you have it written down where we're going with each one of these right now?
I have it written down if you want a quick recap. So as Rod will say during the show, I'll take the honors here. Get out your pen and paper. I do literally have paper and a pen. That's where I take all my notes, Rod. Here are the picks so far for the one and done pool. Daytona, Justin Allgaier with an alternate set at Elio Castroneves. Atlanta, Ricky Stenhouse. Coda, Alex Bowman, sleeper there. Phoenix, we're going with Ryan Blaney. Las Vegas, Ross Chastain. Homestead, Miami, Ryan Preece pulling out a little Again, not using all our big ones early. I like this. I like this strategy. Martinsville, Joey Logano, Mr. Reliable. Darlington, Justin Haley, again, digging deep, finding some good trends. Bristol, we're using our Dennis, James Allen Hamlin. Talladega, Eric Jones. Texas, Carson Hocevar. And Kansas, Kyle Larson.
Woof. That's a hot start to the one and done pool. Now remember, you can use this if you want, but why? Because you're trying to differentiate yourself from us, and it would suck for you to have this exact same lineup as us. But we're definitely spitballing. Hopefully, we've gotten your gears turning, and we've given you a lot to think about as you start to set your own for this. And just like Cody said, remember, you don't have to set it all season long right now. I mean, obviously, if you want to, you can, and just have fun writing it out. But you can make changes as the season goes on. But yeah, this is it. JDK saying just catching up. You didn't pick Denny for Bristol.
James Dennis Allen Hamlin or whatever. I think I said it wrong, but that's Denny Hamlin, by the way.
Yes. That is. So, all right. Well then, Cody, we will jump back into this tomorrow and finish up with the rest of our one and done picks. Thanks to everybody for joining us. And as we bid everyone good night or good day or good tomorrow, whatever. Where can everybody find you in the real world?
Yeah, follow me on the X-Rod at Husker_Zeeb. Hopefully that updated link will work for you to join the contest over there. Follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. Thanks to everybody for tuning in over on YouTube. If you haven't, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton, helps you out as well. Click on the little bell. You get notified when we go live again tomorrow and finish up picks.
Indeed. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the about everything I got going on, whether it's here. Join me tomorrow on the back road or Thursday, I guess, or it's already up, whatever. This time continuum thing, as I'm talking to you right now, tomorrow on the back road, I'll be on there. Seth and Elliott talking about some of the futures. And then also click on the link in Twitter to find all my other stuff. There's some great esports stuff going on right now. Cornhole is popping up, and I'm going to have some odds for that as well and some picks. So, keep an eye out for that. All right. Love you all. We'll see you tomorrow for some more one and done picks. So until then, let's go racing and let it ride.